what's going on, everybody? I'm excited to be back. I've taken some time off. The last couple of weeks have been kind of rough, but I'm excited to finally get back to it. Come talk with you guys. Today's video is going to be, I don't know if it's actually going to help anybody. It might, you might see some value in it, but it's definitely going to help me. So, something that me and my dad shared a great interest in was the stock market. He actually got me started in the stock market 4 or 5 years ago, and his personal lawyer is the one that got him started in the stock market. Mr. Bill Hammond came and talked to my dad about some biotech stocks, and he was just kind of talking to him, you know, shooting the breeze like they did every week. And he said, you know, Richard, you ought to start investing. I don't know why you don't invest. You know, you're a smart guy. You know, you've sold insurance in the past, and you've done some stuff with the stock market in the past. You know, why don't you invest? My dad just kind of thought about it, and he said, you know, I don't know. I probably should. So my dad kind of dragged me into it with him, which I'm so thankful that he did. But he had a theory on the stock market that I have in me, and I believe that it's true. You know, if you just invest and you keep investing and you keep investing and you keep investing and you keep doing it for a long period of time, he would always say, you know, I'm just accumulating cows. That's the way he kind of explained it to people. I'm accumulating cows. And one day, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, it doesn't matter if a cow brings $1 or $1 million. I'm going to have over 1 million of them, and I'll be fine. And I would always say, yeah, Daddy, but if you paid $2 for a cow and now you're only getting $1 per cow, you actually lost money. That doesn't make sense. And he would always say, look at the Dow Jones. Look at its entire history. There's not a 20-year period, if you started anywhere on the chart and you went 20 years, that you would have lost money. There are bad years, there's bad 5 years, there's bad 10 years. But on a 20-year period, you never lose money. I think the year I was born, 1990, the Dow Jones was like 9,000 points, 9,100 maybe. And now it's at 31. Well, I'm 30 years old. That's a heck of a gain, you know, in 30 years. And he's right. You can go look at the Dow Jones, look at as far back as you want to look, and there's no 20-year period where you would have put money in and lost money after 20 years. You would have lost throughout there, but at the end, you would have came out on top every time. My dad loved biotech stocks. He loved them. He thought they were the greatest thing since sliced bread, and I invest in a good many of those as well. But he never, other than one, he never sold any biotech stocks. So what he would do is he would just continue to buy them, buy more, buy more, buy more. Dollar cost averaging, just keep buying. The only one that he ever sold was Editis Medicine, and he sold it this past year, 2020. He bought it, I want to say, at like, I don't know, $18 or $19 a share. And I was riding in the truck with him, and I was looking through his portfolio with him, and I said, Dad, dude, Editis is up to like $65 a share. You need to sell this. I don't know why you're sitting on this. And he said, son, you don't sell stocks. Just hold on to them. Just keep accumulating them. It'll be worth way more in the future. I said, Dad, it's way up, man. You need, just take the profit, and then you can reinvest later. That's a lot of money. So he did. He sold it. He said, all right, sell it for me, son. So I sold it. And sure enough, every day after that, for the next, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, he would call me and say, well, did you see what Editis is doing today? Man, it went up to like $94 a share after that. And he was so mad, and he would call me every day at 9:30, and he'd say, I'm never selling another share that I own again. I can't believe you talked me into doing that. So that's the only biotech stock that I can remember that he ever sold, and I talked him into it, and he was so mad. And so his whole theory was, you just accumulate shares. You just buy as many shares as you can, as often as you can, and in the future, and you know, in 20, 30 years from now, it's not going to matter too much what they bring in. They're going to bring in more than they are now. But you're going to have so many shares that it's not going to matter. You're going to sell them and you're going to be a very wealthy person. And that was kind of his theory on everything. And he had this calmness about him with the stock market. I'd look at his portfolio and it would be down, several $1,000s in one day. And he'd just lay back and he'd say, oh, it ain't no big deal. It'll come back tomorrow. This is when we need to be buying more shares while it's down like this. And he would. He'd just buy some more. And sure enough, a week or two, he'd be way up. And it never rattled him. It never bothered him. If you knew my dad, you knew he was very level-headed, very calm. Very rarely did I ever see him shaken by anything. He was very confident in, he didn't do anything willy-nilly. He always would, make a decision on what he wanted to do, and it would take him a long time to decide to do it. But once he decided, there was no question to him it was the right thing to do. So that's where my theory on just accumulating shares over time and ETFs. Something that my dad really got into a lot recently was ARKG, and that's genomics. It's got a lot to do with biotech. It's got a lot to do with bettering the human life and expanding the human life, and that was kind of right up his alley. And actually, on the day he passed away on Wednesday, that morning he called me and he said, "Son, it's 9:30. I'm gonna take a lot of money and I'm gonna put it in ARKK, ARKG, and ARKQ. Does that sound good to you?" I said, "Sounds great to me. I'm all about that." I had no idea it would be the last investment that he ever made, and I'm glad that he did. And I'm very confident that those will be worth a lot of money one day. But the stock market is something that me and my dad really share a love for. I'm so thankful that he got me into it, and I feel like it's an obligation of mine now to get as many people involved in it as possible. I read an article this morning. His lawyer, Mr. Bill, sent me an email, and it was about how there's a stock market bubble, and it's about to pop, and the stock market's gonna go back down. And my dad had a pretty good theory on that too, and that may be true. I don't know. If it does, I'm just gonna buy more shares. So I'm not too worried about if it does go down. If it goes down, I'm gonna get cheaper shares, so that'll be fine. But his theory is so many people, so many average people that aren't stockbrokers like me and you, so many people can buy now at any given time that it's gonna be hard for the market to really, really crash. Now it will. I mean, it did last March. I mean, it will crash. At some point, it's gonna pull way back. It has to. It always does. But there's so many people like me and you who can buy those shares so much cheaper that it'll come right back. It'll come back faster and stronger than it ever has. He said, there's so many common people investing in the stock market right now that understand when it falls, that's better for us because we get better prices on shares. And I think he's right. People are worried about a stock market crash, and you can worry yourself to death about stuff like that. But he had a great way of seeing the positive out of what everyone else saw as a negative. Everyone sees the stock market crashing as the worst thing that could possibly happen if you're in the stock market. And there's some negatives to it. But my dad was great at looking at that and saying, man, I see more opportunity in that than I do see negatives. And that's just how he lived his entire life. He could take a negative situation and he could find positives over and over again. There's so many stories I could tell, and I'm not going to because I probably won't make it through them without crying. But I'm really glad that my dad took the time to drag me into the stock market and to teach me as much as he could, and I'm very blessed to be able to share it with you guys. And I hope that from this point forward we'll be able to grow together the same way that me and my dad did, and I hope I can help you guys to see the positive through the stock market like I have. Like I said, I don't know that this helps you guys at all. It helped me a lot. It took a lot for me to put this video together. I'm glad that I was able to make it through it. And anyway, I'll catch you guys next time, and we'll continue with learning about swing trading. Thanks, guys.